All right. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. I'm Zach DeBoer here from the team here at Gentian. It's a beautiful day here in Mequon, and we're extremely grateful and glad to have Michelle Norris, our health expert, here with us again to share insights and timely ideas when it becomes about our health, and specifically today is about longevity. I know I can speak for our team, Dave Adams' team, and Tim Free's team as well, that we care about each and every one of you, but we always ask ourselves the question, as evidenced by what? And this is one of those things that we take very, very serious and enjoy bringing to you because we know that money isn't everything, and health and maintaining your health and maximizing your health is an extremely important piece. With that, we've had a lot of positive feedback from previous webinars from Michelle, especially when it comes to diet, navigating a grocery store, but we're extremely excited to learn a little bit more about longevity. And from conversations with clients in the past, it's not just longevity that we're looking forward to, it's healthgevity. How can we live healthily longer and bring the most meaning to our life and spend the most time with our friends, family, grandchildren, whatever is most important to us. So with that, how about yourself, Carson?
Yeah, I'm Carson Odom from David Adams' office, and I speak on behalf of all of our clients. Michelle, we're extremely grateful for you and your expertise and what you've done for everybody and all the insight and advice that you give. So I know from our whole team and our client base, we're always excited for these and thankful for the time and energy and information that you give us. So thanks again for speaking on a really important topic.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Was there anything else, Chris? Are you going to chime in at the end? Wanted to make sure you had your minute there.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. I'll chime in at the end as we go through and just ask questions along the way.
Okay. Awesome.
Appreciate it though, but appreciate what you do for us. It's tremendous. I think healthgevity, Zach said it best. So I just can't wait to hear what you're talking about today.
Yeah, healthgevity, health span, as I like to refer to it. Who cares if you live to be 100? I shouldn't say who cares. A lot of people care. But if you don't have your health, right? If you're in a hospital bed and you're taking 20 medications and you're hooked up to all kinds of tubes, that's not health, right? So how do we get to be 100 and be like these centenarians that are around the world, that are moving their body, that are still enjoying time with their grandkids, their great grandkids, that are able to take care of themselves, and we're learning more and more on this topic. There's wonderful practitioners that are really dedicating their whole careers to studying how do I become one of those people, and they're disseminating the information. And so I am just a conduit of their work, and I'm so grateful to be in front of you today and share my top 10 tips for longevity. We did a presentation, Eating for the Aging, and so we are going to talk about nutrition. We're going to reiterate some of the things from that presentation, then we're going to go into some additional tips, and then I'm going to end with some awesome content from my Grammy, who I have talked about before in the past, who is living this. She is living it out. She's an example. She is basically my why. I would love to. She gave me some great genes, and I don't want to screw it up. I would love to be like her when I'm 93 years old, and I'll show you why we all should strive to be like Grammy when we're 93 years old. With that, I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Let's
The last thing I'll mention too is there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So as the presentation's going on, we'll try to definitely leave time at the end for questions and to answer those questions, and we'll go through that. So if you have any questions that you have, hit that Q&A button. We'll wrap those questions up towards the end.
Yeah, great, Carson. Thank you so much. I would love to answer those and address those as we get to the end. So with this presentation, we jump right into it. We go right into our top 10 tips for longevity. So the first one, as many of you probably could have guessed, is the eating whole, real foods. We are biologically designed to eat foods that the earth provides for us. And I don't take time and really define what whole, real foods are very often. So in case you're wondering, what does that mean? Does something like a Simple Mills cracker count as a whole, real food? It's minimally processed, but let's define that. So they are natural, unprocessed, or minimally processed foods that are consumed in the most natural form with very little alteration. Did they come from a factory, or did they come from a farm? Did they come from somebody's garden, or did they come, again, out of some sort of manufacturing facility? They're free from additives. They don't have preservatives. They don't have artificial ingredients. ingredients, they don't have artificial colorings, artificial sweeteners, and they typically retain to the best of their ability their original nutrients. They are nutrient dense, which means they provide us with vitamins and minerals and fibers and antioxidants, which are essential for health. Okay, that's what a whole real food is. So what does that look like in the form of food? When it comes to protein, we're talking about things like meats, we're talking about things like cheeses, dairy products. Protein is an absolutely essential macronutrient, especially as we age. I gave a presentation this morning when we did Fitness and Nutrition Mythbusters, and one of the things I talked about was your metabolism. And people have this assumption that as we age, our metabolism just drops, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And that's actually very false. As we age, unless we are fighting against the natural decrease in muscle mass, our metabolism will drop. But if we're fighting against that by strength training and eating enough protein, we are able to maintain our metabolism. Okay, those are the two really important things there. We have to eat enough protein and we have to strength train to keep our metabolism up. You don't have to fall prey to the dropping metabolism as you age. How much protein should we be consuming? Between 0.5 and 0.8 grams of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Let's say you're a healthy human being, you weigh 200 pounds, you need between 100 and 160 grams of protein daily. Why is that important? Number one, most importantly, it helps you hold on to your muscle mass and or build muscle mass. 2, longevity. There's a direct correlation between the amount of muscle mass you have and how long you live. Bone density, this is speaking more towards my ladies here. A lot of us struggle with bone density decreasing as we age. Muscle mass, protein is really important for that. Hormone health, immune health, metabolic health. So there we go. That's keeping our metabolism up. We're feeling full. We're maintaining a healthy weight, and we're able to burn more calories all throughout the day if we have a higher metabolism. All right, if we have more muscle mass, we have a higher metabolism, we're burning more calories. Okay, that makes it easier to maintain a healthy weight. What are some healthy sources of protein? I get asked this all the time. There's the normal ones that we talk about, the whole real foods, that's on the right side of your screen. The others are ways that we can help get a little bit more in throughout our day, whether that's a protein shake, a pre-made protein drink, maybe some sort of protein bar. And these are the healthy ones. I want this to be about brand awareness today as well. So that earth-fed muscle, whey, or plant-based protein, that's what our family loves. We do the plant-based one. I give that to my kiddos. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. This morning I made them pancakes with eggs and spinach and bananas and protein powder, and they love them. Today for lunch we were struggling with some lunch options, so I made them pancake sandwiches. So I use the pancakes and I put peanut butter in the middle, and then they'll have a jerky stick like you see on your screen, the Chomps beef jerky stick, for some additional protein for lunch with some fruit. The pre-made protein shakes, I've talked about this in the past, but if you are drinking the Premier protein shakes, I really recommend that you use up everything that you got and you never buy them again. Switch to something like the Orgain or the OWYN, Only What You Need, or Kate Farms. If you don't love the earth-fed muscle protein, you can do the Ancient Nutrition bone broth protein. And then every day I like to eat 1 protein bar. It helps me get between 10 and 20 additional grams of protein in. I'm trying to make sure I'm meeting the same standards that I'm recommending to you guys. And so, I have protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but I need to fill the gaps. And so I have an Aloha bar. That's the bottom right hand or bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I like the peanut butter cup one personally. The Cliff nut butter bar, that's pretty good. It's delicious. The RX bar is pretty good. And then the IQ bar, those are really easy to find. And they are a plant-based protein sweetened with stevia. We love those. And then the Oikos 000 yogurt. If you're a yogurt fan, that's a great one to be reaching for. It actually tastes pretty good and has a good number of 15 grams of protein in it, which is awesome. That'll really help boost your protein numbers. So do the math in your head. How much do you weigh, or what's your ideal body weight? And then multiply that by 0.5 and 0.8. And that's your range for grams of protein per day. Whole real foods part 2. Healthy fat. Healthy fat is critical for longevity, and we got this wrong for 30 years. We demonized fat. We told people buy low fat, fat will make you fat, and we got that wrong. right? What happened is during that 30-year period where we were telling people that, we were eating more processed carbs, more processed food in general, because fat keeps us full, it keeps us satiated. So we don't have to go reach for more and more of the processed junk. So the 30 years that we were on the low fat campaign, our obesity rates doubled. We got that so wrong. So let's introduce fat back into our diet. And we're talking about whole real foods. We'll get to that on the next page. But why is fat so important for longevity? Well, it helps with mental acuity. Your brain actually really enjoys fat as a good fuel source. It protects us from cognitive degeneration. Inversely, sugar creates cognitive decline. They're looking at they're terming Alzheimer's now type 3 diabetes and linking the overconsumption of sugar to the inflammation of the brain, which is leading to the cognitive decline in the form of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and just neurodegenerative diseases in general. It lowers our LDL and raises protective HDL. So we were told that if we ate fat, it was actually going to make our cholesterol wonky. That's not true. It actually helps put our cholesterol back in balance. It reduces inflammation in our joints. It helps us absorb fat-soluble vitamins, which are important for vision, bone health, and immune function. Gives us that long-lasting energy. It's actually, I didn't put this on here, but it's really important for sleep. If you're somebody that goes to bed at a decent hour, falls asleep pretty easily, but then finds yourself awake at 2 a.m. and you can't go back to sleep, you need to add more healthy fat to your dinner. That could be adding some avocado. That could be making sure you're cooking with butter or avocado oil. Maybe you're doing an olive oil dressing or marinade on top. Maybe you're having a handful of nuts as your late night snack versus Cheez-Its. More healthy fat is going to help you have sustained energy and not let your blood sugar drop and wake you up in the middle of the night. And then it also helps with moisture and elasticity in the skin. Who doesn't want that, right? What are healthy fats? Again, some brand awareness here. The left side of your screen, you can see all the whole real food versions of healthy fats, and then some additional products that we can buy at the store to help us incorporate more healthy fat into our diet. The RX nut butter packs, we talked about the bars, the protein bars on the previous slide. These are the nut butter packs. They're delicious. You can take them on the go. The Nellie's egg bites, you can either make your own egg muffins or you can purchase them now at the store. The Chomps beef jerky sticks. So there are 10 grams of protein, and I'm not quite sure how many grams of fat are in there, but it is a great source of healthy fat and protein and 0 carbs. The full fat Chobani Greek yogurt, full disclosure, doesn't taste awesome, but if you put some honey in there and then some fruit and maybe the Purely Elizabeth granola, then you're getting the full fat option of the yogurt. I tell people all the time, remember, don't buy, like we're so ingrained to buying the light sour cream or the fat-free yogurt or the light cheese or the light skim milk. Stop doing that. Go back to the full fat version. We're going to skip the soybean oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, corn oil, peanut oil. Those are the oils during that 30-year period where we demonized fat. They told us that we should switch to because they're healthier. We got that all wrong. That's creating an inflammatory storm in the body, leading to the chronic disease epidemic that we have going on right now. So instead of your Land O'Lakes vegetable oil, butter, some sort of margarine type deal, go to real butter. Real butter. Go to the Kerrygold grass-fed butter. Give up they'll say it's made with olive oil, but if you look at the ingredient list, the predominant ingredient is soybean oil or vegetable oil. Get away from all that. Go back to butter. Instead of your Planters nuts, buy raw nuts. The Planters nuts are coated in the inflammatory peanut oil to get the salt to stick. Ditch your Duke's mayonnaise, your Hellmann's mayonnaise. Go to the Primal Kitchen mayo or the Chosen Foods mayo. Ditch your traditional ranch for the Primal Kitchen ranch. Primal Kitchen is an amazing brand. There's not many brands out there where I can say it doesn't matter which of their products you buy, they're all awesome. Primal Kitchen is one of them. Every single one is fantastic. They make salad dressings, they make condiments, they make pasta sauces, all great. Pam, no more Pam. We're going to some sort of avocado oil spray. I think I shared with you at some point in one of these presentations, my sister got me this cool gadget off of Amazon where I just fill it with avocado oil that I buy in bulk from Costco, and it has a pour feature or it has an aerosol feature where I can spray it on the pan. It doesn't ever get clogged. It works fantastic. I absolutely would recommend it. No more Crisco, no more vegetable oil, and we're going to avocado oil instead. So if you're like this morning, I made eggs and I sprayed the pan with avocado oil versus Pam or vegetable oil, something like that. Part 3, sugar. Sugar is the culprit of so much disaster in our body. The goal is less than 25 grams of added sugar per day. The consequences of too much sugar: obesity, arthritis, Alzheimer's, I mentioned type 3 diabetes, Parkinson's, high triglycerides. Previously, we thought high triglycerides, which is fat in the blood, was related to the overconsumption of fat in the diet. We got that wrong. If you've been to your primary care recently and you were told you have high triglycerides, you're eating too much sugar. Less than 25 grams of added sugar per day. It decreases your lifespan. It increases your risk of candida, which is the overgrowth of the candida bacteria in the gut, which can lead to all kinds of health disruptions, chronic fatigue and bloating being the top 2, and then chronic inflammation, which is the root cause of about 80% of disease. Some product swaps to get away from the sugar: Jif peanut butter to the Crazy Richards, Raisin Bran to the Three Wishes, regular ice cream to something like Halo Top or Rebel, traditional bread to the Ezekiel bread. Oh my gosh, my husband went to the grocery store yesterday and he bought the cinnamon raisin Ezekiel bread and we all had it for breakfast this morning. I'm confident he spent $10 on that loaf of bread, but it was worth every penny. It was so good. Chips Ahoy, pre-made chocolate chip cookies, enjoy life instead. M&M's swap to the Unreal brand, the Dannon Light and Fit or the Yoplait, those kind of more sweet yogurts. I would encourage you to go to the Chobani, no sugar added, or just something full fat and plain. And then again, you doctor it up for yourself. No more juice. Juice is simply just like drinking a soda. It's straight sugar. Go to something like Zevia, blood orange tea. The poppy sodas are great, or you can make your own hot tea and then you can refrigerate it if you wanted to. You can add some stevia in there to make it sweeter. Just some options to lower that sugar intake to less than 25 grams per day. And remember, it adds up so quickly. All right, tip number 2, moving on from the food. I could spend an hour there, but I want to give you the rest of our tips, okay? We have to move your body. Dr. Mike Evans, he was the one that did the YouTube video 23.5 hours where he explained his research study, where he gave participants his treatment, which was 30 minutes of walking 3 times a week. And what he showed was they decreased pain from arthritis, they reduced the likelihood of dementia and Alzheimer's, reduced the risk of diabetes, reduced depression, reduced anxiety. Basically, what he found out is that if you could bottle the positive effects of walking for 30 minutes 3 times a week, it would be the most powerful drug ever in human history. Walking 30 minutes 3 times a week. And if walking isn't accessible to you, it could be rowing, it could be swimming, it could be biking, it could be a recumbent bike. It's moving your body for 30 minutes 3 times a week. We can all do that. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes at once. It could be 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here. The goal is to accumulate 90 minutes over the course of the week. If you're still working and you find yourself super sedentary all the time, let's do stretch breaks. 2 minutes of stretching or walking every 30 minutes. That's easy. We could do it right in our chair. We could do a couple stretches in our chair. I'm happy to send you some stretches or exercises you could do right in your desk. Join a local gym. Invest in a standing desk. I do this all the time. I didn't invest in one. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. My 1-year-old's still in diapers. I use the diaper box, put it on top of the desk, or I'll use the chair that I'm sitting in, put it on top of the desk, and that becomes the perfect height for me. Just make one. The goal is to stand for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And if you do that for a year, that's the equivalent in calorie burn to running 10 marathons just by standing 3 hours a day. That's pretty cool. Okay, so that should be our goal. Standing for 3 hours a day, you turn those lower body muscles on, the power muscles, the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads. When we sit for 30 minutes, after just 30 minutes of sitting, those power muscles, those lower body muscles turn off and our metabolism plummets by 90%. Even if you're just sitting in your chair and you're doing glute squeezes, I'm kind of doing it right now, where you squeeze your booty together and back down. You can see my head going up and down. I know that's kind of awkward. That keeps your glutes on, and that's one of your power muscles. That helps keep your metabolism going. There's little tricks like that to help making sure that we're incorporating movement into our day all day long. Number 3, get a relationship with a primary care physician. This is super important. I know our healthcare system isn't awesome. It's broken in many ways, but there are fantastic reasons why you should still take advantage of the preventative services that are free through your health insurance on an annual basis. All right, so regular checkups, they do play a significant role in increasing longevity by enabling early detection. I don't like the term preventative screenings. A mammogram is not a preventative screening. It might detect that you've got something going on really early. That's early detection, but it didn't prevent breast cancer. There are other things in our life that we can do that are truly preventative, but by just detecting something early, that's not preventative. So let's change that term. It's early detection. The rest of this presentation is basically preventative. Establishing a relationship with a primary care, some things to think about: regular checkups, they lower risk of death by 14%. Regular checkups help reduce mortality from heart disease, which is the #1 killer in our country, by 25%. Early detection of breast cancer. So I'm not knocking it, because it can lead to a 5-year survival rate of over 90%. And then one of the things that we use when we have a primary care is we can help manage some of our conditions that maybe we've ended up with better. If you let your diabetes get out of control, that is a death sentence. If you let your blood pressure run wild and you don't get it under control, even if it's through medication, that is a death sentence. So having a relationship with a primary care can help make sure you're staying on top of, maybe it is medication, maybe they're making sure they're holding you accountable to your lifestyle changes. And then I also wanted to talk about a couple things within your blood work that hopefully you're doing every year, and giving you some power over how to read that, some education on what those numbers mean. So our lipid panel, that's our cholesterol. And for a long time, we were told that if we had an LDL that was high, even if everything else looked great, we needed to be on a statin because we were at high risk of heart disease or some sort of cardiovascular event. And we got that wrong. We need to zoom out. It's a bigger picture than that. So what I have here on the screen is the ideal picture. Our LDL, which is our bad cholesterol, is less than 100. Our HDL, that's our protective cholesterol, is above 50. And we raise that through exercise predominantly and eating healthy fats, okay? And triglycerides are less than 150. So if you have an elevated LDL, but your HDL and your triglycerides look good, what the latest research is telling us is that you don't have anything to worry about. However, if your LDL is high, your HDL, your protective cholesterol, is low, and your triglycerides are high, that's a picture we need to chat about. You need to make some lifestyle adjustments ASAP before it ends up triggering something, some sort of cardiovascular event, okay? Don't let your doctor scare you into thinking that just simply an elevated LDL is a risky thing. That's what the latest research is telling us. If your HDL is fine, your triglycerides are fine, a little bit of an elevated LDL can actually be pretty protective. If they look at the folks that are living to be 80, 90 years old, they actually have an elevated LDL. It's showing that it helps with longevity as long as the other two numbers are in check. Blood pressure, known as the silent killer, this is something we want to take very seriously. We do want it less than 120/80. All right, I wouldn't push that. I wouldn't push that boundary. I really would work hard with your lifestyle choices, with your nutrition, with supplementation, by moving your body. And if you need medication to get it under 120/80, take that seriously. CRP, C-reactive protein. This is a marker of inflammation in the body. Remember that about 80% of disease is rooted in inflammation. This is not something your primary care is typically going to check. You could ask them. Insurance might not cover it, but I really think that it's worth finding out what your C-reactive protein is. The goal is underneath 3. If it's above 3, we need to work to lower the inflammatory storm that's going on in the body. Number 1 is figuring out where the inflammation is coming from. Is it your gut? Is it joint pain? Is it a back issue? Is it chronic migraines? What's driving that number up? And then there are lifestyle choices that we can make to help drive it down. Your A1C, they typically will do that annually along with your fasting glucose. We want an A1C under 5.6. That's your average blood sugar for 3 months leading up to the day of the test. You can't cheat that number. If you have not been doing very good with your nutrition leading up to your appointment with your primary care for 3 months, that's going to come back higher. So really think about that. Next time you go to the primary care and you're like, okay, my appointment's 3 months from now, I'm in the window where everything that I eat now is going to register, good or bad, in my A1C. And then B12 and D, I think more providers are doing this now, which is awesome. If they're not, I really would ask your primary care to add it, vitamin B12 and vitamin D. It's very easy to supplement and get these numbers up if they come back low. And most of us, unless we're intentional about supplementing with B12 or D, tend to have low levels of B12 and D. What does that present as? It could be fatigue, could be a weakened immune system, trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating. So if that's you, ask your primary care to check it, and those are the ranges that we're looking for, okay? And even on the functional medicine side, of vitamin D, in the primary, like traditional healthcare side, they'll tell you that a vitamin D of like 35 is within the normal range. In the functional medicine world, ideally, we really would like to see you above 50. 50 feels much better than 35. So even if you come back low normal, maybe it's a good idea to supplement, and I'm happy to guide you in that depending on what your numbers are. Number 4, sleep. Sleep is so important. This is underrated. And I heard it best when someone explained it like this. It was a neuroscientist that was talking about the importance of sleep. And he was like, listen, think about it. You can go a day without eating and you're okay. You can go a day without water. You're not going to feel great, but you'll be okay. If you go one night without sleeping, you will not be okay. You will not be a sane person. You're not going to be able to make decisions. You will be cognitively impaired. Sleep is so important. Cognitive function, your brain, your immune system, your white blood cells, which go to bat for you if you come into contact with germs. More balanced mood. Your mood directly relates to how much sleep you get on a regular basis. Your hormones directly relate to how much sleep you get on a regular basis. My gentlemen, if you are sleeping less than 7 hours a night on a routine basis, you have testosterone levels of a man 10 years older than you. No gentleman wants that. We do not want to be aging quicker in our testosterone levels than we already need to be, okay? Healthy testosterone levels for men are between, call it 350 and 1,000. So the less we sleep, the lower that's going to be. And then there is really, really good research coming out right now about decreased sleep over time with a direct link to Alzheimer's. So this includes poor sleep from sleep apnea. So if you have untreated sleep apnea and your breathing is stopping 30, 40 times an hour, I hear it all the time, and you're not wearing your CPAP machine, you're still not getting good quality sleep. You might think that you're sleeping 9 hours, but the quality of the sleep isn't there, and that's a direct link to Alzheimer's. This is something you absolutely want to take seriously. So make your room dark, black it out. I've probably said this to you guys before. I have electrical tape on every single little tiny light that might be in our room. It's on the fan, we don't have a TV in our room, but if we did, or we go to a hotel, I bring the electrical tape and I put it on that little light on the TV, on the smoke detector on the ceiling. There's electrical tape in my room, my son's room, my daughter's room. It is blacked out. Shoot for 7 to 9 hours every night. Women actually need more sleep. So my gentleman on the call, if your wife sleeps more than you, do not give her a hard time about it. She physiologically needs it. Make it cold. Your body needs to drop the internal temperature by 2 degrees to get a really good night's sleep. So somewhere in the 60s. All right, we're sleeping in the 60s, and then a hot shower before bed actually drives your internal temperature down, and that's what needs to drop for a good night's sleep. So a cold plunge right before bed is not ideal. Cold plunge more towards the morning, hot shower or sauna at night, which is driving down our internal core temperature, is actually really good for sleep. We've got to manage your stress. All right, we have to find ways to stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system. This is probably the hardest one for people when I'm chatting with them. I've got my nutrition good dialed in. I'm going to the gym 5 days a week, but I am just dealing with so many things, exterior stressors. I'm trying to do so many things and I just don't have time to manage my stress. That's what I hear. But it's so important. We really need to do a better job as a society about putting busyness on a pedestal. You know, why do we do that? With the people that are most busy, we're like, wow, look at her. She's doing so much. It's not great for the body. Your body can only operate at that speed for so long before it crashes. shows up in the form of a weakened immune system, and then you get sick. Shows up in the form of adrenal fatigue. Your adrenals are their little glands that sit on top of your kidneys that produce cortisol. They can only produce so much cortisol before they just shut down. And then you have extreme fatigue and you can't get out of bed. So we have to find ways to stimulate the opposite side of our nervous system. We live in this sympathetic state, fight or flight, go, 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 and we don't spend enough time. Think about a parachute. Parasympathetic nervous system brings you down. We don't spend enough time stimulating that. How do we do it? We can do it through breath work. We elongate the exhale. So we talk about the 4, 7, 8 breathing. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold that breath for 7, and you breathe out for 8. Anything where the exhale is twice as long as the inhale is going to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system in as short as 3 rounds of breath. That's pretty cool. You have that when you're sitting in traffic. You have that when you're fighting with your spouse. You have that when your kids or grandkids are driving you bananas. Tap into that. 3 rounds of breath where the exhale is twice as long as the inhale. Exercise is a fantastic way to manage stress, with the caveat of if you are doing intense exercise, it might be doing the opposite. If you like to do F45 or you like to do Orange Theory or CrossFit, that can be an additional stress on the body, adding to the stress bucket if it's the wrong phase of life for you. If the whole rest of your world is go, 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 fight or flight, rah, rah, and then you go to the gym and you try and just bury yourself with so much activity and exercise and raising your heart rate, that can be an additional stress versus stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system to help calm you down. So if you are in that phase of life, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's Pilates, maybe it's some sort of active stretching that you need, that more of the low impact style stuff versus the another way of just stimulating your sympathetic nervous system. The last one I love to talk about is 3 Good Things. UNC Chapel Hill, my alma mater, has been talking about this and studying it for the last decade. And what they found is this practice of 3 good things, if done for a minimum of 30 days, is just as effective as an antidepressant and anti-anxiety medicine. And what it is you take an expo marker, and at the end of your day, you write down 3 good things that happened to you that day. Okay? What this is doing, it's retraining your brain to see the positive in the world. You have to train it because we're all trained from a young age to be complainers. Not everybody, but a lot of us. You have a negative environment at work. You have negative influences on social media. The news is super negative. It's just lots of negativity that's constantly being poured our way. We can't help it. And then we start to see the negative in the world unless we are actively fighting against it. Think about the people you know in your life that just feel like they never complain about anything. They're so happy. They always see the positive. The glass is always half full. Who doesn't want more of that, to be around that person? And you can train your brain to be like that. So 30 days in a row of 3 good things that happened to you that day. So you're training your brain to think about the good. You're writing it down. You're committing it to memory. And then when you wake up in the morning, it's the first thing you see. Maybe that's something we all do together. That'd be fun. We can share. All right, number 6. This comes from the blue zones. So if you're unfamiliar with what the blue zones are, it's 5 areas around the world with the highest concentration of centenarians. So the highest concentration of people that live to be over 100. And one of the things that's a common thread through all 5 of these places around the world, they all culturally are very different. They eat pretty much whole real foods. They exercise all throughout the day. Those are 2 main things they have in common. But the third is they have this incredible community. They don't go to old folks' home by themselves without their family. They kind of like stay in this family unit, and they have these incredible communities where they're playing pickleball, they're playing cards, they're involved in clubs, they're giving back to their community. And it's part of what we'll get to later, which is their ikigai, their purpose. But we need community. We were not meant to do life alone. You know the saying, it takes a village, and I think we talk about that a lot when we're raising kids, but it's true from day 1 of life to our last day of life. We need that community, and Facebook doesn't count. Okay. 2015, a meta-analysis found that loneliness and social isolation are associated with a 26% increase in the likelihood of premature death. So just being lonely. I think we've all heard that. He died of a broken heart. He died of being lonely. She died of being lonely. It's true. You need a community. Studies show that older adults who maintain active social lives are at a 70% lower risk of cognitive decline. So not only are we adding time to our life, we're keeping our brain sharp. Married individuals tend to live longer compared to unmarried counterparts, with studies suggesting that men benefit particularly living 8 to 17 years longer than unmarried men. That's cool. And then one study found that individuals who lack social support were at a 29% higher risk of heart disease and a 32% higher risk of stroke. So there's some cool stats to just make sure you stay plugged in to your family, to your community, to your friends, whatever it is. Make sure you don't find yourself retreating. I think it's common as we age to maybe find ourselves like more annoyed with the world, or just like, I want to stay in my own house. I feel comfortable here. Try to force yourself to stay involved. Get out of that comfort zone a little bit. Number 7, not a fun one to talk about. I feel like I burst everybody's bubble here, but we have to limit our alcohol intake. So according to Dr. Huberman, if you've never listened to him, he's got the Huberman Lab podcast. He's a brilliant neuroscientist out of Stanford. And he said that no amount of alcohol consumption is truly safe for long-term health. Any reduction in alcohol intake leads to improvements in mental and physical well-being. So basically, previously we kind of said like, oh, maybe 1 glass of red wine every day is not bad, or maybe it's even beneficial to your health. I don't know if you ever saw the article that was 1 glass of red wine a day is the same as going to the gym. I wish that were true. I think we all should have seen a red flag when that when that article came out. But basically what we've learned is that no amount of alcohol is truly safe. The less alcohol you drink, the better off you are when it comes to longevity. It's a known carcinogen. That means it causes cancer, with specific ties to breast cancer, liver, digestive system cancer, and digestive system cancers. So even 1 drink a day increases your risk of breast cancer by 5 to 10%. It raises your blood pressure. So if you've been struggling with high blood pressure, we talked about how important that is. It's called the silent killer for a reason. There's no symptoms that come with high blood pressure. So if you're struggling to get it down, drop your alcohol intake. It also contributes to heart arrhythmias, increasing your risk of stroke. And then lastly, it lowers testosterone levels, and that can impair muscle growth. So we talked about how important muscle growth is and muscle mass. There's a direct link between muscle mass and longevity. If you are working hard on your strength training and eating your protein, but then you're drinking your booze at night, you're kind of undoing that hard work that you did. It increases your levels of cortisol, which is that stress hormone that can lead to fat accumulation and breakdown of the muscle mass that you're working so hard to keep. Okay, hopefully that scares you a little bit into drinking a little bit less. Maybe you don't drink at all and this doesn't apply to you, and that's awesome if that's true. If you are like me and you like to have a couple drinks every once in a while, let this encourage you to make that couple. Maybe it's just 1. Limit your booze. Number 8, you maybe didn't think that we were going to talk about this, but oral health. There is an incredible benefit to taking care of your oral health. The mouth is the gateway to the body. Have you ever thought about it like that? So poor oral health, studies are showing us that leads to cardiovascular disease. So if you have gum disease, you have an increased risk of heart disease by 20%. So flossing specifically helps prevent gum disease. So whether it's those little flossers or you're actually using traditional floss, I would encourage you to do that every other day at a minimum. Diabetes, so severe gum disease makes it harder for the body to control your blood sugar. Do you know that? So again, flossing, brushing your teeth twice a day. And then some studies even suggest that the bacteria that's responsible for gum disease can travel to the brain and contribute to those plaques that are associated with Alzheimer's disease. So really, really important that we're brushing our teeth a minimum twice a day, and we're thinking about our toothpaste. So the traditional, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Texas just yesterday launched an investigation into children's toothpaste and the fluoride in children's toothpaste, and why the toothpaste companies are encouraging children to use way more toothpaste than they need. What we figured out is that fluoride is a neurotoxin, so it's toxic to the brain. And if you, over time, that fluoride builds up in the body, maybe it's through toothpaste, maybe it's through, remember those fluoride trays we used to get from the dentist, the fluoride that's in our city water, if you're on city water, that builds up in the body. And there's a direct link between the more fluoride exposure you have to a lower IQ. It truly is a neurotoxin. So get the fluoride out of your toothpaste. We get access, we get plenty of it from other sources. I actually just in our house got a reverse osmosis water filtration system that gets all the fluoride out of our water and then remineralizes it. We in our family use the Tom's fluoride-free toothpaste. My husband and I use the adult one, and then my kids use the fluoride-free kid version. That's okay if they accidentally swallow it. So get a clean toothpaste. The Attitude one is great. The David's is, I don't love the flavor, but I personally love the Tom's the best. I've tried many of the healthy toothpaste, and that's the one I like. Just make sure you're getting fluoride free. No more mouthwash, especially the alcohol-based. There's a direct link between alcohol-based mouthwash and heart disease. And then scrape your tongue. Did you know the bacteria on your tongue, that's kind of part of what we're talking about here in the gum disease, and the bacteria that builds up in our mouth can have some serious negative consequences. So they make tongue scrapers. It's a little plastic thing. It just it won't cut you or anything like that, but it can get that bacteria off your tongue. All right, so think about that. Take care of your oral health. Number 9, we got to get outside. A minimum of 10 minutes before 10 a.m. And that is setting the bar very, very low. We need more than that ideally, but to help set your circadian rhythm, let your body know what time it is. So where you should be in your cortisol production, where you should be as far as, okay, this is when I'm supposed to be awake. And then once you set that clock, then your body kind of knows when it's supposed to be winding down and when it's supposed to be going to bed. So another tip, if you struggle to sleep, we want to be in direct sunlight for 10 minutes before 10 a.m. This means not in your car. This doesn't mean with sunglasses on. This is direct sunlight, as much of your body as exposed as possible, 10 minutes before 10 a.m. That's the goal. It sets that circadian rhythm. It helps boost the production of serotonin. That's your happy hormone. It helps combat stress and anxiety. It reduces your risk of developing nearsightedness. So we spend so much time looking at our phone, looking at our computer screen, reading a book, and not enough time exercising the muscles in our eyes that help us see far away. So if you're struggling with your vision, maybe you feel like, oh God, I'm really squinting to see some road signs, or you're having trouble reading far away, you can bring that back to life by spending more time looking at a longer distance. Stop looking just here all day long and spend more time looking at the trees, looking at the birds, just look further into the distance and turn on those muscles in your eyes that help with that farsightedness. Increase your vitamin D, obviously, access to sunshine, we know that. It stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system, which we talked about. It helps balance out all the time we spend with that sympathetic nervous system going, and it strengthens your immune system. So little kids that spend more time outside, spend more time in the sunshine, in the dirt, have a higher, stronger immune system compared to the little ones that spend their days inside in a climate-controlled environment, washing their hands with hand sanitizer all over them all the time. We got to get outside. We got to get dirty, especially our little ones. That's building their immune system for the rest of their life. We got to go outside. Number 10, we have to have a purpose. This too comes from the blue zones. This comes from looking at those folks that are living to be over 100. What do they have in common? What are they doing with their lives that help them get to be 100 with such great health? And this is in Japan, they call it the ikigai, but everybody seems to have a purpose. And maybe it's their family, maybe it's their kids and their grandkids and their great-grandkids. Maybe they give back to their community. Maybe they're still working and they have a career they're so passionate about. Maybe they're in policy reform or some sort of politics. Maybe you own your own business. Maybe you're mentoring the next generation through your business. Maybe it's just, watching your grandkids once or twice a week for your kids. My parents do it. This is my why. These are all kinds of pictures of, you can see right here, these are my grandparents. This is my mom and that's my son. So that's their great grandson. My husband and my daughter doing some balancing. There's my dad and Remy girl, my little daughter. They have the cutest, most special bond. My little ones, we do the 9/11 stair climb every year. We've done it since 2021. I was 6 months pregnant with my son. We did it the first year, and then the next year I wore him. He was on the outside, and then the next year after that he was in the backpack with my husband, and I was pregnant with Remy. And then this past year, both kids were on the outside. So we both had a kid on our back, and we did the 110 flights of stairs in honor of what happened with the World Trade Centers in 2001. That's something that's important to us. There's all my little ones and my parents and my grandparents, and how that's my purpose. That's my why. That's why I'm here sharing this message with you guys, and hopefully living a life that they want to partake in, as far as adventure and health, and hoping that they get the bug to want to live a long time with a good health span and be just like their great Grammy. So here she is. This was, these were all filmed on April 20th of this year, Easter Monday. She's 93 years old. She lives in a 3-story home, and just to get into her home, she has to go up a flight of stairs just to get in, and then her bedroom's up another flight of stairs. She can carry groceries up the stairs. She made, this is the kids' jungle gym from the people next door. Their backyards kind of collide, but she's like, I still pick up the sticks, and I didn't realize she picked up like trees out of her yard. Here she is taking that down to the creek and throwing it into the creek. And then this is a video of her still on the tennis court, hitting tennis balls at 93 years old. So she is just an incredible human being. If you ask her how in the world you get to be 93 and still on the tennis court and picking up sticks and carrying groceries up the stairs, she'll say, you can't stop moving. You have to keep moving your body. That's her number one tip. So I will leave you with that, and then we're going to open it up to some questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. That's my phone number. Call me, text me, email me anytime with personal wellness questions. My sister and I did finally start an Instagram account. So if you're on Instagram and you want some additional health and wellness tips, you can go follow us at Altitude Wellness 1. Of course, my email is always available to you. Please, please, please reach out if you have any personal wellness questions you don't want to ask right now, that's the place to do it. If you have some general wellness questions, I think we'll do that right now. There we go.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Chris and David and I and our teams were in Orlando last week at our national conference, and we probably sat too much to you for those few days, and a lot of money managers, a lot of economists, and Chris, David, we need to get Michelle down there to do a presentation. I agree. That would be really good, because this is I sat through one that was Retain Your Brain. Ooh. So it was similar, but not nearly as comprehensive and good. So this was really, really good. I mean, I looked through my notes, my little 1 page of notes from Retain Your Brain against my 3 pages of notes from today. So really good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, the key, Tim, would be, what do you remember from Retain Your Brain, since it's in the name? If you can't remember it, that'd be part of it. And I'm just messing with you. I agree with you, Tim. I think there's a lot of great stuff out there, but you present it in a very easy to use format. I even think like you did such a great one on the grocery swap list last time. We actually made a swap card, because I can't remember when we go to the grocery store what exactly the name was. I remember Teton for meats. Yep. And I remember Siete for chips. So I've got both of those in were awesome. So thank you. But I think those follow-alongs are super helpful notes and all here. But I think we have some take-along handout that you could use on a consistent basis. If you're doing the research, it'd be super helpful to us as well. Yeah, my question comes from
do that.
You know what I mean? Because I think that little takeaway that I could take with me, carry with me, or something we can send to everybody afterward.
Cheat sheet.
Yes, it would be a huge list for us. To be great. Yeah. So I have a client that has 2 different questions here, but there's so many olive oils out there. What is the best brand and regions it says to buy? I don't know what regions, but
I'm going to be really honest. I can do some research for you, but I'm not super picky with my olive oil.
Okay.
Yeah, I buy it out of a dark glass bottle. That's what I buy.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm happy to do
big
more
Costco.
research. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
That's cool. I just wanted to know. I think, as you said, I mean, olive oil, it's kind of like I was sitting next to the top USDA person when it came to organic bison, and he said, bison will not eat anything except grass. So just FYI, it was really funny. There's no such thing as organic fed bison or grass-fed bison. That's all they eat. He
That's
also said, I
good.
use Orgain milk protein shakes instead of plant-based ones because it's better tasting. Any issues with that?
Orgain, they have a whey-based one and a plant-based one. Either one's great.
Okay, one is milk-based, one is plant-based. Does that matter?
Great.
That was the other question.
Great.
Okay, good.
Nope, doesn't matter.
Okay, those are my two. Anybody else want to go with the others?
Let's see.
Okay, I've got one here. What are your thoughts on 365 by Whole Foods toothpaste with hemp seed oil?
Yeah, good. A+. As long as there's no
Okay.
fluoride in it, and I don't think there is.
Perfecto. And then I think the last one is, we got a recording that'll be shared. That'll be no problem. I had a question about some supplements and supplementation. So I'm a fairly tall individual. I weigh, over 200 pounds. When you look at the amount of protein I'm supposed to eat in a day, it's quite a bit with some of you're looking at a huge amount of protein. So if I look at things like creatine, I'm 55 now. There's some great studies on those. What supplements might you recommend? There's also something, what is it called? Whale colostrum. They're talking about colostrum in different forms. So those are two I've heard lately, colostrum and also creatine. What are your thoughts on those?
Both are great. Absolutely. Yeah. The studies on creatine are very clear. Good for not like bodybuilders. I think were the ones that really started with that, and they were trying to rebuild muscle, which it does do, which we talked about today, how important that is. But the cognitive benefits and the joint benefits that are coming along with creatine, I absolutely would recommend it for you. Thorne makes a wonderful one. I know you do a really good job with your supplement, making sure your supplements are clean, just throwing that out there. And then the colostrum, same. Really, really cool, interesting research coming out about the importance of colostrum and the health benefits. So I would say yes and yes.
Awesome on both. Anything else we should know about in that category for supplementation when it comes to protein, cognition, anything else?
Essential aminos are another really good one that I would recommend that helps with muscle retention and recovery. You can I wouldn't buy BCAAs, which are branch chain amino acids. I would buy the complete amino acids from something like Thorne. Perfect Aminos has one, but making sure you're getting all of the essential aminos in one go. Gentlemen seem to really benefit from that from a hormonal standpoint and muscle mass standpoint.
That's awesome. You said something about metabolic health. There's a lot of ways to go, and this is with metabolic health and longevity because that's what our resting energy builds or reduces calories, or actually burns calories when you're having a higher metabolic rate. What do you recommend? Or are there any things you recommend for supplementation, or just things to do to reduce your resting metabolism or metabolism in general?
So metabolism is directly linked to muscle mass. So it's all about strength training, essentially. Yes, there's all kinds of gimmicky supplements out there that can tell you that they're raising your metabolism. But the two most important ones are making sure you're eating enough fiber. That helps drive your metabolism up because your body's working hard to break whatever it is that's very fibrous down, and then increase your muscle mass. So increasing your muscle mass means eating more protein, and typically protein is harder to digest as well. Think about meat-based protein specifically. They're harder to digest, so your body's working hard, so you're burning more calories to digest them. So more muscle mass, more meat if you like animal-based protein, making sure we get good quality meat, and then more fiber.
Awesome.
Michelle, one of the things we see a lot of apple cider vinegar. The benefits of that are there?
Yeah. There's wonderful benefits of apple cider vinegar. The number one being, in my opinion, would be the blood sugar regulation. So taking 1 ounce of apple cider vinegar and diluting it into a glass of water, like an 8-ounce glass of water, and drinking that before you have your meal will help keep your blood sugar more stable comparatively if you didn't do that. So blood sugar stability is linked to longevity again. So the longevity experts are telling us that the fewer times in our life we spike our blood sugar, do that roller coaster ride, the longer we live. So basically, the more consistent your blood sugar is, the longer you live. So if we do that apple cider vinegar before we have a meal that might be higher in carbohydrates, we can keep our blood sugar more stable, helping us with longevity.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that one of the little anecdotes or one of the facts that I wrote down from the session in Orlando, which I thought was a good point, and I'd love for you to speak to it if and this was more about the brain and Alzheimer's specifically and trying to avoid that, was that the misconception that, well, my grandpa had it, so I'm going to get it or whatever. And one of the points was, and he put a stat on it, that it was 90 to 95% of the time, it's not genes related. It's this stuff related.
Yeah. He's spot on, whoever that was. It's the concept of epigenetics. So It could be that you have the gene for Alzheimer's, but you can keep that gene turned off your whole life. It's like a light switch. If you don't take care of your stress, you don't manage your sugar, you don't move your body, that light switch, boom, gets turned on, Alzheimer's it is. But if you do the things that we talked about in today's presentation, no matter what bad genes you've been given, the breast cancer gene, the Alzheimer's gene, the high cholesterol gene, the high blood pressure gene, you can keep them all turned off your whole life and never have that expressed or end up, in the doctor's office for whatever we talked about. It is very much lifestyle driven.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you. I think we have one more question or it says if not from concentrate juice, also bad. Or I guess it would be is not from concentrate juice, also bad. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. No good.
No good. Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured as well. I
The
appreciate
only
that.
juice that's would get the approval is something like a cold pressed juice. You go to a juice bar and they are literally putting fruits and vegetables through the juicer in front of your eyeballs. Or you go to the produce section of the grocery store and they have the bottled cold pressed juice. Suja is the brand that comes to mind. I drink their Uber Greens, which is just basically all vegetables with some lemon in it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate everything you have today. Any more questions, anyone? Tim, Steve, no? Yeah, I
We're
appreciate
good.
it. We really
Awesome.
appreciate your expertise. It's absolutely fantastic. I think we look to you as an expert in this field. We appreciate it because your leadership allows us to go about life in a more confident pattern, actually reduce anxiety and feel better. So it's a massive part of what we do. I want to appreciate you and understand that you, or make sure you know how much it means to all of us. As David, Tim, and I were talking at our Elevate, we want to continue to elevate you, lift you up, and let you know how much we appreciate you, and maybe expand it to more and more people if we can. So stay tuned.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity, and please utilize that opportunity. Everybody that's on the webinar, reach out with your questions. I would love to be a resource for you.
Great.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Michelle.
And thank you guys.
We also have our next Health and Wealth already pre-scheduled, so
Michelle.
please mark your calendar for August the 27th. And Michelle will be back with us at 9 a.m. to talk about the importance of muscle and how it is basically a medicine. So we look forward to that presentation. Thank you again, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thanks, Ashley.